Yesterday, Jaraji explained that sati is called satipatthana. And in the word satipatthana, patthātiti, upatthātiti, meaning sati, mindfulness, is closely established on the object. It can happen that the noting mind is superficial on the surface, or it can happen that the noting mind is a little bit sustained. If the noting mind is a little bit sustained on the object, there will be a little bit of firmness, steadiness. Such kind of firm and steadiness will not be like sticking two things with glue, or it is not like two things stuck together when the air is sucked. But the noting mind should plunge and sink into the object. The example is given here when a nail is put in. As much one hammers the nail will be firmly, steadfastly sink into the wood. And in the same way, if two pieces of wood are screwed together, if the person put screw in order to put the two pieces of wood together, as much one screws the screw with a screwdriver, then the screw will be firmly going into the wood. So in the same way, the noting mind should sink into the object, plunge into the object. Paṇḍitā Sayadaw, meaning when the presently arising object arises, the noting mind should sink into the object. The noting mind should not scatter, it should not be distracted, but as soon as the object arises, the noting mind should be firmly sustained on the object. The noting mind should be firmly established on the object. As the person knows the object with sustained mindfulness, mindfulness will become more and more firm and steady. In a building, if the nails are not hammered enough, the building will not be strong or firm, and the building will be weak and undurable. In the same way, a yogi should be noting, apart from sleeping hours, in all the postures of walking, standing, sitting, and lying, and also in minor postures such as bending, stretching, turning, opening and closing of the eyes, blinking, should be done mindfully. Yogi should note the object that arises at the present moment with ardent effort. So just as when the nail is hammered into the wood, the nail will pierce into the wood firmly. And as the screw is put into the wood with a screwdriver, as much one turns it with a screwdriver, the screw will be firmly in the wood. In Satipatthana practice, one should also be noting the object so that the noting mind will be sustained on the object. The noting mind should be firmly, steadfastly established on the object every single second. In order to note the object with sustained mindfulness, there should be ardent effort. And if the effort is less or slack, sati, mindfulness, will not develop. And if sati, mindfulness, does not develop, concentration, samadhi, will not develop, and panya, knowledge, cannot arise. So in noting the object, when it is said that the noting mind should plunge into the object, there should be at fast speed. So there are three kinds of speed: the slow speed, normal speed, and the fast speed. In noting the object, in order to show at which speed the noting mind should note the object, it is explained as Paṇḍitā Sayadaw. Paṇḍitā Sayadaw is also another syllable to Paṇḍitā. But as the usage is different, but the basic is no different. Paṇḍitā is normal speed, but Paṇḍitā means greater than the normal speed. It is defined as Vega Gati, meaning going in great momentum, going in fast speed. So when going, there is slow speed, fast speed, faster speed, the extremely fast speed or the fastest speed. Paṇḍitā means going in great speed, going in great velocity. So if the speed is not great, then mindfulness cannot arise. So one should note the object with the fastest speed. In order to note the object with the fastest speed, viriya effort is important. One should exert 3 stages of effort: initial effort, step-up effort, stage by stage, till one reaches one's goal. So there should be arata viriya, diligent effort. In order to reach one's goal, there should be arata viriya, diligent effort. Arata viriya is explained as pakaha viriya, persistent effort. So when exerting effort should be persistent so that it should become higher and higher. Exerting effort, the effort should not get low, it should not stagnate in the middle, but it should be uplifted. By noting the object with continuous effort, it will become paripurna viriya, accomplished effort. The effort will be accomplished. So in this way, one should step up the effort stage by stage till one reaches one's goal. In noting the object, the noting mind should plunge into the object with the fastest speed. in great momentum. In order to do so, one should exert viriya, effort in the practice. In order to exert viriya, effort in the practice, one should have strong jhana, strong wish to practice, in order to develop wholesome mind. So one should diligently practice so that the mind will be totally purified, and one should understand the benefits of the Vipassana practice in order to have strong wish. Having strong wish to practice viriya, effort, will gain momentum. And as the viriya gains momentum, sati, mindfulness, will also arise in great momentum. Paṇḍitā Sayadaw, meaning the noting mind should plunge into the object continuously at greater speed, so that the mindfulness will arise continuously like a stream of current. In the word patthana, pa is defined as bhusaka viseta. Viseta means outstanding or extraordinary. So sati, mindfulness, will be outstanding, extraordinary mindfulness. So the mindfulness should be good quality mindfulness, that it is outstanding and extraordinary. Bhusaka is used to explain that the mindfulness is very intense. The mindfulness is very intensely firm on the object. So it explains that the mindfulness is intensely outstanding and extraordinary mindfulness. And paṇḍitā, meaning as soon as the object arises, the noting mind should rush into the object with great momentum. Patthana means intensely outstanding, extraordinary mindfulness that is firmly sustained and firmly established on the object. The mindfulness should not be at slow speed or the normal speed, but it should be in the fastest speed. So the noting mind should rush into the object at fastest speed continuously. Only then the mindfulness will be intensely outstanding, extraordinary mindfulness. Practicing Satipatthana meditation is in order to overcome the defilements, lobha, dosa, moha, that has been following throughout one's life. So throughout one's life, greed, anger, hatred, aversion, delusion has been overwhelming. And there has been visama, extreme form of greed, hatred, and delusion. So in life, these extreme defilements are gaining the upper hand. In order to repel these defilements, one should be strong. One should have the strength in order to repel these defilements. So when practicing in order to repel these defilements, one needs the weapon of the viriya, effort, and jnana, knowledge. So, in order to repel these defilements, one should have strong power of these weapons. And in order to overcome kilesa defilement, Satipatthana meditation is the best in order to repel these defilements. And Satipatthana meditation is the only way leading to the purification of the mind. One should be courageous in practicing Satipatthana meditation. So when coming into battle with the kilesa defilement, facing the enemy defilement, one should be courageous. In order that the noting mind reach the object of meditation, one should exert efforts in the practice. And when sati, mindfulness, is present, the mind is guarded, protected away from the defilements so that the defilements have no chance to arise. Exerting effort in the practice, the path of the enemy defilement will be blocked, and the path or the way of wholesomeness will open. Having sati, mindfulness, there will be protection, blockage, so that the defilement enemy cannot enter, and there will be safety and security. So in this way, one should be fighting courageously in the battle with the defilement. Sati, mindfulness, should be patthana. Sati, mindfulness should be in greater speed, greater momentum. As soon as the object arises, the noting mind should rush into the object. And there is no time for thinking, imagining what it is, why it is. If one is thinking, imagining, the person will be slow in the noting. There should not be any thinking or imagining. The noting mind should rush into the object as soon as the object arises, so that the noting mind reaches the object. So it is very important not to think at all, but rush the mind onto the object. In order to note the object, in order to make the mindfulness note the object at greater speed, one should keep the bodily activity, the speed of the bodily activity, to be reduced to almost zero. So when doing the bodily activities such as sitting down, standing up, bending, stretching, turning, such activities should be done very slowly. The speed of bending, stretching, turning should be almost zero, so that one noting mind can keep pace with these activities. When noting the nama rupa that are arising, one should exert effort so that sati, mindfulness, can keep pace with the object. Only then sati, mindfulness, will be in great momentum. If the person is doing the activities quickly, then mindfulness will not be strong. And Sayadaw has been looking at the yogi. Sayadaw sees the yogi going, moving quickly, abruptly. So when going to lunch or breakfast, they have to move at a normal pace, but when they have time, when they are doing bending, stretching, they have to do slowly and mindfully. But Sayadaw sees yogi bending, stretching abruptly, quickly, and mindfulness cannot keep pace with these activities. So in order to be able to note the object, one should do these activities slowly so that one can follow these movements to be mindful of them. If the person is doing things quickly, then the mind will not be able to keep pace with them, and the noting will just be superficial. It will not be meticulous or thorough. So one should have to do things slowly so that sati, mindfulness, will be strong. In order to be mindful of these objects, the text says, Sakumasa yatha ando, meaning that a yogi must act like a blind person, even though he/she sees. So the yogi must not pay attention to what he or she sees. Yogi should not be looking here and there. So if the yogi is looking here and there, then it shows that the yogi is not respectful to the Satipatthana practice. And seeing such kind of yogi looking here and there, having the sight, seeing the sight of the yogi looking here and there, it is very ugly to see such kind of yogi looking here and there. So as a yogi, one should not be looking here and there. And this morning, Sayadaw went to the dining hall to take a look at yogis, and there was one yogi looking sideways, and the yogi had to be reminded not to look at other things, but only to look into oneself. So yogi should not be looking at things. Yogi should only mind his or her own practice. Even though there are eyes to see, yogi should act like a blind person, not paying attention to what he or she sees. And even though yogi has ears, yogi must act like a deaf person. A deaf person cannot hear, and thus a deaf person will not be moved by any sound. In the same way, yogi must not pay attention to what he/she hears. Even though the yogi has good ears, yogi should act like a deaf person. It is very important not to be looking at things, not to be listening to things. Yogi should not pay attention to what he sees or what he hears. Panya vasa yatha muko. Even though the yogi may have some theoretical knowledge, especially concerning with Satipatthana, but they should not be reflecting on these theories. So they should put aside their theoretical knowledge. During the practice, they should be practicing according to the guidance of a trustworthy Kalyana Mitta, good companion. They should follow accurately according to the guidance and instruction given by the Kalyana Mitta. So even though the person may have theoretical knowledge, the person must act like a dumb person. Balava do baloriva, even though the yogi has physical strength, yogi must do things slowly like a sickly person. A sickly, weak person will be moving hands and feet slowly. In the same way, yogi should be moving slowly, just like a weak, sickly person. So it is mentioned in the text. In the practice, when the yogi experiences some unpleasant sensations, having mindfulness, even the small pain seems exaggerated, being looked with the mindfulness magnifying glass. Yogi should have forbearance and endurance. Even though there are pains and aches, yogi should not move, just like a dead person. A dead person will not move or will not moan, even though the dead person is pierced or poked by anything. In the same way, if there are pains and aches, yogi should note the pain and ache with endurance, with forbearance, without moving. So in the practice, yogi should have the habit of having patience and forbearance. Practicing Satipatthana meditation, one can gain the happiness that has a guarantee that is many times better than the worldly sensual happiness. So in order to gain the happiness that has a guarantee, yogi should be courageous in the practice. In beings, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching arise as a resultant of the deeds done in the past. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, they are not wholesome and they are not unwholesome. They are neither kusala or akusala. So these seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, they are indeterminate. They are neither wholesome nor unwholesome. If the person is not mindful when seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching as a result of the past deeds, then the defilement will enter. The nama rupa are arising continuously as seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and one should be mindful, one should be alert, active in noting the object so that there will be mindfulness. If there is lack of mindfulness, there will not be concentration, there will be distraction, the noting mind will slip away from the object, there will be delusion, and unwholesomeness can arise. There will be lack of moral shame and lack of moral fear, ahirika and anuttappa from wrongdoing. Lacking control in the mind, there will be uddhacca, restlessness. If there is lack of mindfulness, moha, ahirika, anuttapa, delusion, lack of moral shame and lack of moral fear will arise. If there are desirable objects, there will be greed. Coming across undesirable objects, there will be anger, hatred, aversion. If there are things to take pride of, there will be mana, conceit, and other defilements, envy, jealousy, stinginess can arise. So in this way, the defilement will arise by lack of mindfulness. So the nama rupa that are the resultant of the past deed, one should be mindful of them so that there will not be new causes. So one should be noting every arising object with courageous effort so that mindfulness will develop. The nama rupa arise as a resultant of the past deed, and one should make use of it. One should make use of it so that the defilement will not arise. So in the text, it is explained that the one assistance of these nama rupa are called bhumi compared to a plot of land. If there is a plot of land that the person owns, if the person does not make use of the plot of land, then the plot of land will be useless with kilesa, defilement, weeds. So yogi must be like a skillful agriculture. A person who is skillful in agriculture will make use of the land by planting useful trees. So yogi has to practice Satipatthana meditation so that the nama rupa plot of land will not be filled with kilesa, defilement, weeds. By being mindful of the nama rupa, there will be panya bhumi, the land of knowledge, of land of wisdom. So if the land is not being used properly, there will be weeds growing in the land. So if the person does not make use of the nama rupa which are resultant, by being mindful, then there will be defilement, weeds growing. In order not to let the defilement weed grow, one should be mindful by the way of Satipatthana practice in the nama rupa that are arising. So one should make use of the nama rupa by practicing Satipatthana meditation so that one will attain Ariya Magga and Phala ஞāna, path and fruition knowledge. So may you all be able to make use of your nama rupa by practicing diligently so that the kilesa weed will not grow on the land of the nama rupa. And Taraji will continue to explain tomorrow. Sadhu, sadhu.